So sometimes we sit down to record an episode and we know what we're going to talk about. Sometimes we sit down to record an episode and we think we know what we're going to talk about. And then we chase a rabbit or two and we talk about pro wrestling and silly dirt track race car driving stunts. But then we get to the heart of the matter and we talk about some pretty heavy stuff. And we sort out some past indiscretions, we'll say. That's what we're talking about in this episode. Welcome to Burnham Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Burnham.
Goofy music.
Yeah.
Man.
How we feel?
I like it.
Sound good? Video
Sound good,
good?
look good.
Sound good,
It's
look
a lot
good.
of gold on the table.
It is. It's
Yeah.
official champion of...
Can you do the whole podcast in Macho Man's voice?
No, I'll go hoarse pretty quick. Cup of coffee in the big time. Cup of coffee in the big time. Yeah.
The cream of the crop, the top of the top.
Yeah.
Cocaine, y'all, is wild.
A heck of a drug.
It's what they say. Bless his heart. R.I.P. Randy Poffo.
Randy Poffo.
That's his real name.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You remember the genius, Lanny Poffo?
His last name wasn't Savage for real?
I mean, I know a guy. There's a dude here in town. His name's Savage. But, yeah, him and the genius were brothers, Lanny Poffo.
I didn't know
Randy
that.
played baseball for, with the Padres? Baseball didn't work out for him. I don't know if he ever made it to the majors, but he played like minor league ball for, I think, the Padres. And it just didn't work out, so he became a pro wrestler.
Yeah, that seems to happen a lot.
Yeah. Paul White, Big Show, he was a college basketball player.
Really?
Was terrible, but they were like, hey, you got to play because you're 7 feet tall or whatever. So
What's
he did.
even more interesting than wrestling is watching all the stuff that's coming out now, because they're finally starting to talk about like back in the day, Vince McMahon and all the controversy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's all coming out now, and we're hearing I mean, we always knew it was like not a clean business, I guess, but now we're getting to hear like all the dirt. It's more interesting than the wrestling
It really
matches.
is. You know, my favorite story that's come out of all this is the Ted DiBiase story.
What's that one?
So he was the $1 Million Man, right? And they wanted people to believe that he was the $1 Million Man. So every town he went to, they provided him limousine service. Limousine picks him up at the airport, takes him to the arena. After the event, would take him out to the club. They would furnish him stacks of cash.
The giveaway or whatever.
Giveaway, just go in and buy the whole bar and pay everybody's tab, or just like throw hundreds of dollars up in the air and walk out. And then they would just give him a new stack the next day. But they wanted him to be like the $1 Million Man and be real arrogant and all this stuff, you know. And
who did that with Mayweather? Somebody did that with Mayweather.
it's not about the money with Mayweather, right? It ain't about the money. It's
yeah.
until it is, and then you got to schedule another fight with.
I like that. Have you heard the testimony of Undertaker?
The testimony.
Yeah, like he believes in Jesus.
Okay.
You know, he's professed Jesus. So
Maybe
is
I
Hulk
have.
Hogan.
Yeah. I heard Hogan talked about it on Rogan, and the Undertaker was on Rogan too, but I don't remember enough about that episode to.
I don't think I've listened to that one.
Told some cool stories,
Yeah.
but that's cool though. Good for him.
I mean, unless I'm remembering wrong, I'm pretty sure he's been professing Jesus lately.
He may have.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to a point, especially the life those guys have lived, and now that it's kind of over for them, and they're not famous, and I mean, yeah, they're still famous, but like they're not going town to town every night. Then you kind of get left alone with your own thoughts at some point, and you've had this great career, and it's at its end. And you start contemplating,
But those guys, they were maintaining what they were maintaining, their bodies, but they were partying like 80s rock stars, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were doing every chemical they could get their hands on and drinking like fish.
Destroying hotel rooms.
And still maintaining that physique. Like, I know they wasn't doing it in their 40s, but like, I drink now and I couldn't go watch a wrestling match the next day, much less go be in one.
Yeah. No, I don't. That was Hank Williams talked about it hurts more than it used to.
Yeah. Getting old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than alternative, but man, it's tough.
But yeah, it's it ain't for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
It's not. It's not to be taken lightly.
Speaking of cool wrestling belts, what's the one on the table? Let's tell the fans.
The one
What
on
is
the
this
table.
about?
This-
New Breed Jiu-Jitsu Federation.
This came from a tournament last weekend. It's part of the PJ Broom grappling project we're working on.
Okay.
PJ won this belt
Okay.
at it was the Georgia State Championships in Suwanee, Georgia,
Congratulations to BJ Broom.
last weekend. But he had it's hard for black belts to find matches, especially at these type tournaments. But he got one, so you know who you're going to go against when you sign up because you go on this website and you can see everybody that signed up. So there's this other black belt on there. So he's super excited to get a black belt match. So he signs in. PJ's 5'10", and if he's been drinking beer all day, he's 160 pounds.
I was going to say probably 150 pounds.
Yeah, walks around about 155, 158. The other guy.
Don't let that trick you, people. I wouldn't touch this boy with a
PJ
10-foot pole.
strangle you
I say, boy, I
unconscious.
wouldn't touch that man
Yeah.
with a 10-foot pole.
So his opponent is 6'2" or 3", and the website said he was 250 pounds.
He's a 300-pound man.
I didn't believe 250 pounds for a minute. He was easily 275, maybe more than that. But PJ, being who he is, jumps on the guy's back and eventually got the sub. The dude, once PJ got to his back, the guy was like, well, I'm not going to lose this match. So he just was like trying to hang on, and PJ is trying to choke him any way he can. And as he's getting chokes in, Buddy's grabbing his fingers and twisting them and stuff, and like, you can't do that.
That's not clean fighting,
No,
is it?
it's not. It's not. But eventually PJ gets the choke and wins the match.
He did win, though.
Yeah, did win. So
Obviously.
he was awarded the official New Breed championship belt that they give you when you win
So
the
a dude
advanced
that was
class.
Twice his weight. Probably.
Actually, twice his weight.
More than likely twice his weight.
Yeah.
And I weigh more than that guy.
Yeah.
I'm like 350.
Oh, another guy,
You know what I mean?
not just twice his size, but who's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I'm not putting myself on his level just because I'm bigger.
Yeah.
No, I ain't messing with that fella either.
Yeah, so that's what that is, and then he donated it to the project. So hey,
Awesome.
take this and put it in your studio and do whatever. When we have events in here, we have to find a place to stick it so they don't steal $18 worth of aluminum
made out
or
of
whatever it is.
Leather and yeah.
I mean,
whatever.
leather might be a stretch also.
Leather and
but
plastic.
Yeah, it's nice though.
That's dope.
It is. It's cool.
And he had to whoop somebody's tail to get it, so that's cool.
He did.
Feel like we should hang it up there, and the person who gets it's got to fight.
Like a ladder match.
Yup.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about wrestling.
We dangle it from the.
I'm not going to be one of the people wrestling
No.
for it. I really don't want it.
Yeah, we'll
Not
put
if
it
I gotta go
somewhere.
against PJ.
I don't deserve that whatsoever.
You know what? If we run short on events, we're trying to get PJ through 10 grappling events. If we run short on events, we might just have to do like PJ versus random hero.
PJ versus.
Can we throw him in a pro wrestling match?
We talked about that because that wouldn't be hard to find.
We have those
Let's
local
do it.
all the time.
Yeah, not a big deal.
He's just got to learn how to act a little.
We actually we know people that do that too here
Yeah,
locally.
yeah.
So,
No,
Yeah.
we're connected to that. All of us have connections to that industry, as it were. We talked about that, and he was like, "Man, I thought about it, but it's like a whole different thing that you've got to learn."
Well, I thought you were about to suggest him fighting a comedian. I'm like, no.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some guy, some untrained, dude, just some guy, like, oh, in there with PJ, and yeah.
People like him scare me because if he decided he wanted to hurt me, well, I can't run from him either. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get away from him. So if he got beef with me, I'm just
Yeah. Oh man.
and I'll be hurting, I guess.
So the comedian that bombs the worst
Has
is
to
getting
fight
it
him.
Got to last 5 minutes with. We're signing. You know what I love about PJ is that I could talk him into doing this. I think he'd be like, okay, eventually.
Pretty sure we can go find a dog kennel and make it a cage match.
Ooh.
I volunteer Kip. He's the only one I think has the physical
Kip was a pro wrestler
stature
too.
to be able
Yeah,
to hang whatsoever.
Kip's been a pro wrestler and
So-
was a pretty good high school wrestler.
Well,
Like, he
then
wasn't bad.
there's his wrestling match.
Yeah. Kip,
He's been a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
That counts as a pro wrestling match. We just made it happen.
We did, didn't we?
I don't know if we're going to make it happen in here, but
probably not in this space. But
we can make it happen.
There's a big place out in West Rome now,
Yeah.
5 Kusawati Avenue.
It's like a half a mile from my house now.
Yeah, right around the corner.
We can shoot it and make it great.
Yeah.
I love when we have these impromptu production meetings in the
On
middle
camera.
in the middle of an episode.
In the middle of the episode. Volunteering guys that probably don't want to do
have
it.
no idea. Yeah. Oh, Kip will do it. He's got big muscles. And
I mean, if you remember the story, like his inspiration's Bam Bam Bigelow, so that's even better.
That's true.
This ties it all back into
That's
the
true.
story of
The
PJ.
first thing PJ ever purchased with his own money was an autographed picture of Bam Bam Bigelow.
Well, I
The
think
beast from the
this
East.
sounds very good.
It does.
We have to talk two young men into doing it.
And if you guys listen or watch Burnham Podcast long enough, we'll volunteer you to do something sketchy. Anybody want to ride a bull or drive one of those 2-person dirt track race cars? We'll
do
make it
that
happen.
too.
They got a 2-person dirt track race car.
Yeah, one guy's got the gas and the wheel.
Oh yeah. One person steers.
Yeah, he's got the brake.
Let's go.
The brake
Let's
and the
do
wheel.
it, Chris.
One
That
dude
would
has
be
the
fun.
brake and wheel, and the other guy has the gas pedal. Is how it works.
Which one you want? The wheel or the gas and brake?
Are you gonna lift?
Sure.
Well then I want.
He said, "Sure." I don't believe him.
But then I want the gas pedal. Because if you won't lift, I'll steer.
Okay.
Burnham Project's going to sponsor us.
I'll be fine doing
Race
either one,
car.
really, because it's going to be equally terrifying. You know,
It
the
will be.
only advantage to having the pedals is you can chicken out and just about, nope, get out. You got the steering wheel and you're like, stop.
If I got the brake, if I
You're
got
like, no, I ain't stopping. You'd
if
be
I have
freaking out.
the brake and the wheel, I feel okay about. But I had a buddy used to do it. He held the track record at Rome Speedway for a while. Like, he was a serious driver, and him and his wife got in one of these cars, and she just wouldn't lift.
So he had to drive.
He ran the brakes and drove it, and they won just about every Saturday night.
That would be super fun.
I think it'd be cool to do one time.
Who's going
All
to,
right.
I mean, you got to find somebody who's going to allow it, donate the car, yada, yada. So if there's anybody out there, one guy really good has been on the show that has connections, maybe
I do.
we can see what happens. Hey, it's been a lifelong dream of mine to drive a dirt track car. But the problems is, one, they are very expensive,
Yeah,
obviously.
more
Two,
expensive by the day.
they're going to have to be my size for me to fit in their car.
Well, these are like stock cars. I mean, they gut the insides of them, and I guess they put like a racing seat
Like
in
Crown
there.
Vics or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so they're like the pony cars, right?
Maybe now. They used to be like full-size cars.
Well, if you get a car that's drive-by-wire, moving that gas pedal to the other side ain't that big a
No,
problem.
it's
Even
not.
cable really wouldn't be that big a problem.
Yeah.
We're cooking now.
Maybe we can win enough money to buy a transmission from a truck. Hey, I'd just be happy being able to drive the race car. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Let's
It
make
would
that
be.
happen.
Okay.
Let's get you in a race car too.
Production
So
meeting.
when you say you're looking at me when you said that. Okay. No, Kris Pyle. He's the
I'd
race
love
car
to be in
driver.
I ain't a race car driver. I'm just a gearhead. So yeah, it's been a lifelong thing of mine.
Okay. So
I
if
mean,
you're out there and you're listening to this and you have some kind of connections and wouldn't mind sacrificing a car,
I'm 6 foot tall, 350 pounds. So if your car is built for a little fella, I'm not going to fit in it. But if it's a corn-fed country boy, I can fit in his car.
so Tango, are you going to be his second?
Sure.
Okay.
I feel like we need to reach out to like Cletus McFarland or something.
So yeah, somebody's got a car we can do this with.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
it'd be fun.
Let's go.
I mean, we're
It'll
going to
be
have
fun.
helmets and stuff. We'll be fine.
We'll rig the whole car with cameras and
I mean, I've had a
all
lot of
kinds of
Danny, I may
concussions.
end up throwing you in there. It's like,
What's one
we'll
more?
watch on camera.
ooh. I'm just gonna stand on it.
Just stand on it.
That's even better. Danny's more into it than I am.
Oh,
I was like,
that terrifies me. Think about that now. Like, I think getting in there and driving would be fun.
You would have to be in sync.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I mean, if you're going to go out there with some strategy, you can't go out there and just, 'cause
No,
we're going to hit a wall.
Yeah.
We're going to wreck our
well,
car.
that's my thing. Right? I think it'd be fun to be in the car, but I'm thinking about hitting that wall and what that's gonna feel like the
You
next
have
day.
strategy before you get in the car about, hey, what we're going to do? We're going to go in low, come out high, or we're going to come in high and go out low. because that's how I'm going to steer and how you got to work your part of it. Like,
Yeah.
there can be, and we can talk while we're in there. It's not like a.
See, this is why.
And that's cool and all. That's great that we can develop this strategy and these hand signals or whatever we're going to do. But there'll be other 3,000-pound cars out there too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you bump off him.
Okay, all right.
Listen,
Just like
listen,
that.
all I gotta do is feed you like a quarter of a bottle of ibuprofen. You'll be fine. You won't feel nothing.
Well, I think we can make this happen.
Yes.
Let's go.
There's an idea.
Yeah.
Mark that idea.
Look at that. We got 2 things down.
This is stupid. What are we doing here?
18 minutes in.
This is not at all what we decided
Well, I
we
mean,
were
I
going to.
think we've proven to ourselves, though, that when we set our mind to something, we can make things happen because we've done it.
Yeah.
We've been pretty successful in a couple of our projects.
Yeah.
Especially the comedy thing.
Yeah. We've done that. I'm doing it again. Whew, yeah. I got like sweating just now thinking about strapping myself in that car. Before you got here tonight, Tango, we were talking about dirt track racing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know what I don't miss? I don't miss going to the racetrack and it's 1,000 degrees outside and I'm carrying tires and gas cans and dust and, all you go home and you take a shower. It looks like you've murdered somebody because all the red mud. Yeah.
As someone who films on a dirt track all the time, that is the worst part is the going home. And I'm like, why is there dust in places there shouldn't be dust?
Yeah, you get it out of your ear.
It's in the crevices of your ear, too.
Yeah,
And it's like, how did it get there?
The shower gets nasty.
It's
That's
the
just from
worst.
going to watch a race. Yeah.
Man, okay.
And I'm a neat freak about my cars too. So it's
Yeah.
like you go park your car at a dirt track race. When you come back out to your car, it's trashed.
Yeah.
Especially if it's been a real good dry summer and it's all dusty.
You know who will ride in that car with you.
You.
Yeah.
Okay, in a worst
Well,
case.
we're sitting here moving on. He's still trying to figure out how to get out of
I'm
the
trying
car.
to get out of this thing now. I'm talking
Sweat's
myself
on
into this, man. So I think that we mentioned on the last episode, my little brother, Matt, I think we would have to move the seat up so he could reach the pedal.
I was about to make a joke about you not being able to see over the dash.
I might
You gonna
not.
put Matt in there? I mean,
It
Matt.
might be better if Matt can't see. Like, just hold it down and I'll take care of it on this side.
Matt's crazy enough to get in there with me.
Exactly.
He is.
Exactly. I used to be. There was a time when I was crazy enough to get in a 2-person race car. And you might still talk me into it for like the right amount of
I think
donuts or something.
I mean, yeah. I get the opportunity to do it. I'm not going to say no.
If I have to, I will.
I'm pretty sure we can find you a car. Yeah, we'll circle back to this when the cameras are off.
Put a pin in it, write the time stamp down, text it to me.
Timestamp.
Whatever it is you're doing. But we mentioned another project a minute ago. The comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we've been doing pretty good with it.
We have been. We have been numbers wise. I mean, like we've filled this place up 4 times.
Well, okay.
Which
yeah.
to say filled up, like this is not a big place. But
It's not a big place. We have filled it up. I feel like we're gonna talk about this. It's gonna end up going a little deeper than people would probably think this conversation's gonna go.
Yeah. And we got into it a little bit. Tango and I talked about it some in the last episode, but we can dig into it a little more.
I felt like we did very well. I feel like I did pretty well. There was one show, that second show, that first night, it didn't feel like it went that great.
Yeah.
But I feel like I proved to myself that I can do it.
It's one of those things like the race car thing, right?
Yeah, it's like I proved to myself I can do it. Like I can come up with jokes and I can get in front of people and I can make them laugh. But I went outside of my own morality to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't, everybody knows I don't have the cleanest mouth in my personal life outside of this podcast. You'll probably hear me say a 4-letter word here and there. So that's no secret. But what really started getting to me is at first, how we were having to do where we were trying to get all the video. I was trying to get the video and it just wasn't working out and the videos wasn't working out. And at first I was like getting all irritated because I'm all like, man, I've got this solid stuff that I did and I can't. Yeah, I murdered that first set and now I can't put it out there and get the attention.
Yeah.
Is what I wanted from it.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about it a little more and I'm all like, the things I said, do I want my daughter to hear?
Ah.
And I was like, nope. I was like, no, I can't. There was like maybe a few little things. Like she's heard the bear joke and stuff like that.
Right.
She's heard a lot of my jokes, but she hears a edited version of them.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah.
So I just started getting like real convicted about it. And then we did it the second night, and I feel like I did even better. Like I got even more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when it was all over, I was all like, I think I should be able to do this without sacrificing my morals, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not because I feel like cursing is this ultimately bad thing. We've had this conversation before. It's
Right.
a word, you know. When the Bible was written, English wasn't even a language. So, I mean, how bad are our words?
Yeah.
And, but I'm like, and I've got stuff out there now, like on TikTok and everything. And it started making me think about all that too. Because I'm all like, how many jokes have I done on there that if my daughter hears them, I'm going to be ashamed of them? So, you know, clean up your TikTok a little bit. Most of the stuff I'd be ashamed of would be the language that I use.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like I really go too far as content, you know. There's certain stuff I don't feel like I should have been talking about as far as content goes. But I got convicted about it. I'm making a change for it. And at first, you brought it up first.
Mm-hmm.
Something about you kept saying you wanted to do a clean show.
Yeah.
My first gut reaction to that was not positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I almost wanted to be like the little diva artist and be like, well, this is my art. You can't change my art.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
expressing myself. And I'm all like, oh, man, that's not the right way to think about this. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We're professing Jesus. And then we're putting on these shows. And there's nothing wrong with entertainment.
Sure.
Like, God's fine with entertainment. He made Duckbill Platypus. That's purely just to look at, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I'm going to profess Jesus, and then I'm going to get up here and use this filth and this language and all this stuff just to get laughs and praise out of people. That's wrong.
Yeah.
I felt like it was wrong. I ain't saying that's wrong for everybody.
Yeah,
And I'm not
yeah.
saying, because, I mean, the greatest comedians ever, when you think of the greatest comedians ever, I can guarantee you the first 5 people that come to your mind aren't clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not an excuse for me to not try to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to be a George Carlin, or I'm not trying to be the next Dave Chappelle or anything like that. I'm just a dude here in town that wants to make people laugh.
Yeah. Do some stand up.
And
Tell
do
some funny jokes.
Tell
Yeah.
some funny jokes and tell my story. And that's where my mind started changing. I'm all like, man,
Yeah.
I'm coming up with jokes. I can come up with jokes all day long. All I got to do is get on Facebook right now, and I can start picking apart every little vague post people do and make you laugh about it because it's silly behavior. But I'm not really telling you anything you don't already know.
Yeah.
So maybe turn this into a thing where I can make people laugh, tell my story, and maybe try to glorify God a little bit with what I'm doing with
Yeah.
it.
Well, then this may bleed back into the last episode a little bit, but we talked about, like you and I have talked about Trey Hart.
Yeah.
And me and all of the other comedians that have performed at these shows have talked about Trey Hart. I'm like, man, Trey's great. Trey's fantastic. Trey was so funny tonight. Trey got out there and murdered tonight.
Yeah.
Isn't Trey awesome? Trey was the only one that didn't say a cuss word all night long.
Yep.
Trey got up there and told funny stories and jokes, and he laid out his presidential campaign. I'm not going to ruin your bid or anything, but like all this stuff, man. And it just, Weston Tucker messaged me Friday, and he was like, hey, believe it or not, I've got some clean material, right? God bless him. And he was like, if you want to do, if you'll still have me in a show, then let's do it.
Of course.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, bro, if you're down, I'm down. Like, let's run this thing. I said, you're a talented guy. And his bits were not like bits that I would have written, but they were obviously very well thought out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he
has
was
great
like
material.
a technician as far as how deep he would go and then pull the punchline out of this, you know, bottomless pit. It seemed like where's he going? Oh, that's funny. Like, okay. And he was like,
he goes against the what I would say is the norm. Bum bum laugh, bum bum laugh.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
goes a little deeper, which
Yeah.
gets a harder laugh, I think.
right. Yeah. So he comes up with these great punchlines and they're dirty. Like, okay. But he makes the point. Like, I think it's going to bring better comedy out of me if I have to like really think about where I'm going with this and not, like I can stand up and say the F word and make everybody laugh.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that's funny. But like to really come up with good stuff.
Well, that's what kept popping in my head is I'm hitting the low hanging fruit.
That's a great way to describe it.
I was doing what I knew would make people laugh. Because, I mean, I can tell you a story about my tire going flat. And if I just tell it to you, like, just give you the facts of the story, it's not that funny. But if I add a few, well, then the this and that, and I was sitting there and I was scared out of you'll start giggling just because it's offensive.
Right.
And I'm not offended by language. I'm not offended by bad language or anything like that. And I don't judge anybody. Like I said, I'll probably, before I go to bed at night, I'll probably cuss. I mean, more than likely, if not out loud in my head, it'll happen. But if I don't push myself to be a little better, how am I ever going to know? You know what I mean? And it's like, I already know I can get up there and do it. What I would say is the easier way.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm not looking to get rich off this. So why do I have to take it so serious and just do it like that? Like, just tell your story, dude.
Well, that's it. I think that's the best comedy. And you look at our lives and growing up in Northwest Georgia and just the stuff that we've gotten into and the people that we know. And if you start telling stories, and of course, some of these stories you hear in a stand-up routine might or might not be true, or parts of them are true.
I mean, we all exaggerate our stories a little bit for the entertainment.
But if you start in reality and you come out of that and you're enhancing stories one way or the other, some stories are just good enough to tell, and they're hilarious because these rednecks we live with and are
the comedian Ali Sadiq.
Yeah.
Love that dude.
Yeah.
His style of comedy. He sits in a chair the whole time.
Sit down comedy.
He's sit down. I'm all like, man, I'm about to steal that from him.
Yeah, do it.
I'm a fat dude. I'm gonna start sitting down.
Sit down.
Get more relaxed, and just sit there and tell the story.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was trying to be the dancing monkey. Like I'm all like, I got to get in this dancing monkey thing and get up here and really, show out. And I just got, and I've done comedy 2 nights, and I feel like I've overthought it way too much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you start out in comedy, to say you're finding your way, your style and your voice. Well, I figured out which way I don't want to do it.
Okay.
I don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
So let's try a different way.
Yeah. No, you can do it that way, and then, it's just you and your pillow when you lay down at night, know, and it's your reflection in the mirror, and you got to go, well, have I sold my soul to make people laugh at me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and people going to go out there. What is it, Tango?
You good? Is your mic high right now?
Nope.
Okay. He's having a sneezing fit or something.
Nobody's going to hear the girl he sneezes.
I thought you were laughing. I didn't know you were sneezing.
No, it's the girl who sneezed. It was that.
So anyway.
All right, Miss Tango.
Yeah. But I think it's harder work, and I'll know that it's harder work to have clean comedy, to tell clean jokes, because I've had comics tell me that when I've approached people trying to get comics together for this show, and I go, hey man, can you run this clean show? Nah, I don't do clean comedy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
It's harder.
Yeah.
Like, it just is.
I mean, I respect it. People, if they've done it long enough and they've developed their style, that's between them and their conscience what they want to do. I'll still go. I mean, you give me tickets to a Chappelle show, I'm going.
Legendary.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry if you think I'm a bad Christian for it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go watch Dave tell some jokes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge him for anything that he says.
Right.
But I just know for me, I dropped the ball so much. I don't need to add another way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, I screw up. You can bleep at if you want to. I mess
That's
up a
okay.
lot. I mess up a lot. So I don't need to be adding new ways to do it.
Yeah. That is an astute observation. I don't need to,
And I haven't done it long enough to be like all diva about it.
That's my
You know what
style.
I mean?
Yeah.
That's just my style.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I honestly think sometimes just deleting my whole entire TikTok, starting over just because of the stuff that's on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could leave it there and change the way you do things, and people will go, yeah,
What happened?
his stuff's different.
Yeah. What I struggle with that, and I feel like a lot of people probably struggle with it, is after you've built this whatever persona
Following.
following.
Yeah.
I know this isn't from God. I know it ain't, but it's all like they're not gonna believe you.
Yeah.
Like they heard you tell this joke, they heard you tell that joke.
Right.
You know, they don't. And I had my testimony on my TikTok for a long time. It was one of the higher viewing ones I had, and of course I made some jokes about some other stuff, and it got blown up. But but it was well received. But I don't think it's not a big enough part of my content that if you just go to my TikTok right now and start flipping through the first 20, you're not going to hear nothing about Jesus.
Right. Well,
And that bothers me.
take it off there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they say the internet's forever, but like TikTok doesn't have to be. You know, maybe somebody out there has grabbed all that stuff and they'll throw it in your face 10 years from now. But
I think, first of all, I'm addicted to my phone. We've talked about that before.
yeah,
Addicted to my
it's
phone.
a problem, yeah.
And to be completely transparent, they get you with, you know, if you get good enough at this, you can just do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're all like, well, I can't delete none of my content because then my catalog shrinks.
Right.
And they get you in that way of thinking, oh, I've already built like this big catalog and I've got some good jokes in there. Why am I holding on to it? I haven't made 1 cent off TikTok. Made 1 cent. I've got some free stuff off the TikTok shop from people wanting me to do videos for them.
Yeah.
So that's been cool. But as far as money, I ain't made $1 off TikTok.
Yeah.
Why
What do
even care?
you lose if you drop some of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I even care?
Yeah.
It's looking for the approval of people.
Yeah.
Is all that is.
Well, you know, like I've always been, I guess, a little bit of a stand-up comedy connoisseur. Like I've always enjoyed comedy, like just a guy getting up and being funny, and like the dirty comics don't hurt my feelings, you know. And if it's too dirty, I'm not listening to that guy again. But I've never listened to a clean comic and thought, man, I wish he had peppered a couple of F words in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You don't. Jim Gaffigan has now said a word or two on stage, and he says stuff not on stage, but he's for the most part a clean comic. Yeah, one of the most successful comics out there. Yeah.
But you got Nate Bargatze and Brian Regan, and there's guys out there that are getting it done.
He's one of the biggest names coming up
Nate's
right now.
Fantastic,
and he's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was the same way. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. You know, I was born in 80, so I can remember the 80s. One of the first cassette tapes that I owned, my mom worked at a convenience store, and my parents just didn't care, man. Like, I got to watch whatever I wanted to watch. I had a copy of Eddie Murphy Raw.
Woo!
Yeah, that was the second Eddie Murphy special.
Woo!
It was Delirious, where he's wearing the purple suit, and then there's Raw, where he's wearing the red suit, or I got it backwards. Red is Delirious, purple is Raw.
I forget which one was which.
But anyway, I knew that I knew it by heart. Yeah. I bet I watched it every day for a year. Yeah. I knew that entire thing by heart. Eddie Murphy was the master as far as I was concerned. Yeah. And I grew up watching Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor and all these guys, George Carlin. That's what developed me into this. Same way, just soaking up. When Comedy Central came out, that was the best.
When they used to show comics on there,
yeah,
guys
when they
telling
used to show
jokes.
comics. Yeah. At first, it was just at nighttime or whatever. Like some other channel turned to a comedy channel at night. I think VH1 did it for a while.
I think, but Comedy Central would come on at like 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah. And like VH1 would have the 30-minute specials. That's the first place I ever saw Rosie O'Donnell. Back then, she was funny. Yeah. When she first came out, she was funny.
Yeah, she had good stuff.
She ain't too funny now.
The MTV half-hour comedy hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just grew up on that stuff and consumed it like stupid. And I always kind of connected with that more than like music in a way. Like, I love music. It's awesome. But I'm like, I could probably do that. Yeah. I can't play a guitar.
Yeah, I've tried. Yeah.
I've tried being a musician.
Yeah. It's a different skill set. Yeah.
It is. I think that's a different kind of brain chemistry or something. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I just grew up on it. So that's why I always wanted to try it. And I never would have tried it. Yeah. Probably if it wasn't for you
I've been trying to get you to do it for 3 years now.
You've been trying to get me to do it for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like that first time you're doing a show, I'm all like, I kind of feel like he's doing this just so I'll try comedy. And he just so happens to know other dudes that'll do it too. And I got to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, like in that week before, you know, we had like it just seemed like it was way more stressful than it needed to be.
Than it should have been, yeah.
Than it should have been. We put way more stress on ourselves, like we were doing a night at the Apollo or something.
Yeah,
and it's like we got like a 40-seat maximum per show.
Yeah, we're pretty tight in here.
We're pretty tight in here. And I'm like, man, we really just overthought it. Even though my first set went fantastic, second one not so great. But then that second night, I hosted, so I went up 38 times that night.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was wonderful. I had a blast.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is. I hosted the first event, and it was cool to get up there and introduce people and kind of work the crowd a little bit in between sets. And
it was really fun.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do it again, man.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that last show we did, we were up there, like, I didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
I kept trying to find stuff for us to do or talk about, and then
yeah.
everybody just kind of ran out of gas. I'm like, well, all right, we're going to have to prepare better next time for some more crowd work to do.
Well, here's what we got. We've got a couple of different ideas for that.
If anybody else has ideas, send them in. We'd like to hear them.
Never letting the audience write jokes ever again.
Well, no, the audience can't write jokes. But if you have
Ever again.
ideas, like as far as we already have the idea of everybody writing jokes and putting it in a hat.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was some funny that came out of it.
Yeah,
but
there's a few things.
People wrote stuff that it really wasn't. They really wasn't giving us any golden nuggets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Their words were so far apart you couldn't do
Yeah.
anything with them. But
Somebody would be like, carrot, shovel. I got to make a joke about a carrot.
About a carrot and a shovel.
Like, I could probably do that, but
I need a minute. Let me.
yeah, like, give me something better. And then they're all like alphabet people, and you're like,
Not
that
today.
But there was a minute there because one of the other guys put it down,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm all like, who put this down? Are y'all afraid of this? And everybody's like, and I'm all like, oh, I guess I better.
Yeah, discretion.
And now I'm looking back on it, I'm like, man, I'm so glad I didn't go there.
Yeah,
And I already kind of went there with the other joke, but I'm all like,
maybe
at the end of the night, I was a little too carefree. I'd
Mm-hmm.
probably said something I didn't need to say.
That's true. Yeah, right there at the end. There's, I don't know. People were asking because we discussed it amongst all the comics that were there, and it was people were asking, did we cross a line? Because I was kind of like, hey guys, I can't promote another show like that. Did we cross some line? Well, you didn't cross any lines because I didn't give you a line. I didn't say don't say this or that or whatever. And I still don't want to do that. I don't want to say tell you what you can and can't joke about, but inside of these parameters, which I guess is a line, but like don't cuss and don't say anything sexually descriptive. Like we're pretty safe.
That's fair enough,
Yeah.
I think. And I mean, just for me, I mean, I still have jokes that will be not necessarily a part of my story, just observations and stuff like that. But I did feel like parts of my comedy, even though it was getting laughs, it could be perceived as attackish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's not what I'm trying to perceive to people. Like, I want to make everybody laugh.
Yeah.
And I think we should be able to make fun of everybody.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Certain people ain't going to want to hear certain jokes from me, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with me being like respecting that.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to base everything we do off this Bible that we base our faith off of, and it says to not joke harshly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, so if I'm up here talking about hardcore sex stuff or anything like that, I bet you that's what he was talking about. And I'm like, if I'm making fun of myself, and it's just like we're making light of humanity. I mean, this is like a little tragic love thing that we have in our life. It's like life in itself is the most beautiful and cruel thing ever, and we're just trying to make a little bit of life out of it, a light out of it, and make people laugh. And I think that's fine, but there's some stuff I just don't feel like it's my place to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's some reaches that you can make in terms of like crowd work and even ribbing people, in the audience. I don't know, we still say ribbing, but I think ultimately you kind of have to make yourself the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to get into an exchange with somebody where they might come up and punch you in the face.
Well, and I really don't like if it came down to like a heckler or something, because that's everybody's fear is a heckler,
Right?
And it's like I know me, and
Yeah.
I know if I'm in the flesh, I'll take it personal, and that's not the way a comedian should be.
Yeah.
But I think in the right mode and mind frame, maintaining that, I'd handle it fine. If not, you can always just walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what separates us, I don't want to call this a comedy club. Man, I keep saying I don't want to run a comedy club. I'm just trying to pay the rent on this place. But I think what's going to separate us from a lot of other venues is that all of our tickets are pre-sold. And people that are going to prepay for tickets for an event are not going to come in and heckle it.
Yeah,
for the most part. There might be some, but
you're not going to get a whole lot of staggering off the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're not just letting people in off the street to throw beer bottles up on stage or whatever. We don't have beer anyway, but if we did.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have people that get upset no matter what. Like we had a person get upset over a political joke. To me, I'm like, if you get upset over political jokes, man, like you are taking it
comedy
away.
Place, probably not the place for you.
Not the place for you, one thing. And I was like, that's like the main thing of the world right now is politics. So if you're not prepared to hear a little bit of riffing on both sides, then don't come, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I don't like Trump. I don't like Kamala. I don't like either one of them.
Yeah.
I can sit here and tell you jokes about both of them. And if you get offended, then oh well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
what now? Like, you prove to me that they're going to do anything for me.
Yeah.
And then I'll care.
Are they going to subsidize stand-up comedy? Because that's who gets my vote at this point.
Right.
If one of them can get my motorcycle helmet out of customs, that'd be fantastic. But
you still waiting on your motorcycle?
Yeah, it's been there for days now, like a week. It's been stuck there. But
your Ruckus made it back.
Ruckus is good. Ruckus is cool. My helmet's just worn out.
Did you ship your Ruckus somewhere?
No, No, I just ordered a new helmet.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm all like, why do you have to ship yourself a helmet? Yeah. Where was he at?
I ordered it. I had to. My head
is gigantic. Did you not ride the Ruckus back? What happened?
I rode it all the way to China and back. I didn't know my helmet was overseas when I ordered it, or I just wouldn't have. But it's a real custom. It's a cool deal. I spent a little money on it. But
did you get
Revzilla?
Did you get a hybrid?
Revzilla is America.
I was going to order Revzilla, and my head is gigantic, and I wasn't sure about their sizing or whatever. But
did you get a hybrid where the whole chin piece comes?
Yeah,
up, or
the
just the
modular. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle has one of those. You get a button on the top, and a screen comes down.
Yeah, it's got all that, and the Bluetooth, and the cameras, and the whole 9 yards.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But
made a jump there, didn't we?
We did. But please joke about politics. My gosh.
Yeah, I mean, God, these people do not care about us, y'all.
And if you're at a place where they start joking about politics, take it like a man. It's like, just come on, like that. Yeah, the guy that was here got upset. Like the politician that was joked about was going to come to his house and like take care of him or whatever.
Yeah, but I can't believe they said this about a politician that I've never met.
Yeah.
Has never heard my name.
And there was no profanity. There wasn't like you're an idiot if you voted for that guy. Like it just wasn't, there were 0 lines crossed. It was a funny joke and the dude got mad about it. Like, maybe you shouldn't have bought tickets to a comedy show.
And maybe, I want people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So, and this is just it's only happened one time so far. Somebody getting upset, but I just want y'all to feel safe because we always have jiu-jitsu people like holding the door or something.
Yeah.
Like there's people in the house.
The sheriff was here last time.
Like there's always people in the house to keep us safe.
Yeah.
So don't worry about idiots.
We got professional security. Next time is we took care of that. Button that down. It's not as expensive as I thought. so we're doing that. But
hire off-duty cop.
Yeah.
They're not paid enough, so it ain't a whole lot to pay them more than they'd be making it work.
You pushing Tango's buttons now. That's an all fair story.
Hey,
But,
I probably agree with you, but for the most part, they don't get paid enough.
yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine the front door to our building this morning had a little card in it that we get them sometimes that the city police come around and they're on patrol or whatever, and they say, hey, we checked on your property, and they write the officer's name, badge number, and what time of day they came by. 4 o'clock this morning, buddy's shining flashlights in the windows down here, I guess making sure the place is okay. And like, I got to admire that. God bless him. I don't think there's an amount of money you could pay me to do that. So I guess in some aspect, what I'm trying to say is they're underpaid. But, yeah. But, I mean, it could be anything going on. Somebody could have been being murdered in here or anything, and he's like, hey, let me check it out. Yeah, okay. That said, officer, do the right thing. And the right thing sometimes means stopping a bad cop from doing the wrong thing. So, you know.
There you go.
There we go. Now we're full circle here, right?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
you feel better now?
Oh, I was good. I was going to agree with you there.
This is why we call him Tango and not his real name.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. No, you had me on camera last
I know,
week.
yeah,
I'm
you're
terrified now.
Gerard Tucker's the one that's got him. Yeah, he's the one that's out here flaming police. God bless him. Polk County Officer of the Year 3 times. He's one of them. Go back and listen to his episode.
so what we're going to talk about next?
Well, the police.
Don't want to talk about the police.
We don't. What time is it? Where are we at?
8:09.
I don't know what time we started.
49 minutes.
40. Is that it?
49 minutes
Man.
with 4 minutes of nonsense on the front end.
We got more.
We do. We're good. So you're bringing, yeah, if this has got to go, it's got to go. Ishmael, still good to go? Have you talked to him again since we changed the date? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first, our date is August 31st.
August 31st. If you listened to the episode last week, we said August the 17th. That is incorrect. It wasn't incorrect at the time, but it is now. It's August 31st.
And there is an episode 6 months back where I interview Ishmael Woods on here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be making his debut of trying stand-up comedy. So people that know Ishmael, come watch him.
Yeah, come
You'll
on
see
out.
him. You'll see several other funny guys. So far, who do we have? It's going to be me, Ish, Kip, and Trey.
Not sure about Trey yet. Trey's wife had a baby yesterday.
It's going to be Trey.
So I
Trey's
hope so.
coming.
I mean, I hope Trey comes out.
He's got a legacy to build for that baby. He's coming.
Yeah. Weston Tucker will be here.
Weston, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a good little lineup going.
I'm gonna host the event. It's gonna be fun. It's always cool to see somebody make their debut.
It is.
It was cool watching you do it. Got to see Kip do it. I'm excited about seeing Ishmael do it, just because you don't know. You just don't know.
It's kind of scary. I mean, your first time doing it. I mean, my first time, I feel like I got myself really, really pumped up. So my first time, I got past being so paranoid or nervous. My second time I went up there, and it's like I started out pretty much the same way I did the first time, but the joke didn't land. Because everybody was still moving around, getting seated. They wasn't really listening to me.
Yeah.
But I was just so nervous. As soon as I got up there and grabbed the mic, I just started.
Well, people are more afraid of public speaking than death.
No. Not
Well,
for me.
Not all of us,
Yeah.
but I mean people in general.
Yeah.
So like getting up in front of a group of people is hard. Getting up in front of 40 people is really, I'd rather speak in front of 10,000 people than 40.
Right.
It's just hard. But to get up there, and then you also need a reaction. Right, so you're not just relaying information.
Yeah, I mean, if you get up there and nobody's laughing, well, then you're just giving a speech.
Yeah, and your timing gets weird, and your cadence is off, and all the things that you're dependent on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I need to say this thing and stop talking for a second so you can laugh. Well, then, like, there's nothing. Oliver John says that sometimes you talk and there's nothing to erase the echo. Like, oh, boy, that's when it gets weird, right? When you don't get the laugh. And it may not be that the joke wasn't funny. It may be that the lady in the front row was trying to sit down and spill her drink, and nobody was looking at you, and it turns into this thing.
And that's what, I mean, people were still sitting down.
Yeah.
The first joke didn't land. So I've rushed through the second joke, probably left out about 40% of the meat
Yeah.
of important meat. So it didn't land.
Right.
And I'm all like, so
got-
then I just went, just went through the
ran
whole
through
set.
it. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, first time I was up there for like 9 minutes or something. You're
Yeah.
like, man, you did great. You was up there for like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Second time I was up there, I came off. How long was I up there? Like 3.5 minutes.
4 minutes, yeah. But
I
it
mean,
just-
I went. Phew.
you rode like the adrenaline wave the first time.
Yeah.
And the shows were the two different shows in the same night that were pretty close together. So you rode that wave and then you crashed, right? You come down off that wave and then you got to try to get back up again like 30 minutes later.
And it's tough.
It is, but other guys had the same issue. They were like, well, I just wasn't ready. So the second night we had shows, we spread them out a little bit and gave you a little more time to kind of try to build back up again. That nobody was making their debut the second night, so it was a little better. But
well, I mean, you come out and you say the first thing that you expect to get a laugh on, and maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I need to sit and talk to comics and see what they're doing. But it's like I usually pick somebody. Like I'm looking out as I'm getting up there, getting ready, about to start talking. You kind of scan. You're all like, who do I think's the laugher?
yeah.
Like it's usually going to be a female.
Yeah.
And you're all like, who do I think because I can make any woman laugh. You know what I mean? And who's it going to be? And then you say that joke and she just looks at you. Or even worse, you go, you're setting up the joke, and then right before the punchline, the woman on the front row looks at you and goes, I'm like, oh, hold on. That's when I was all like, no, hold on, stay with me now.
Let me tell
and
the
she
joke.
was like, I'm all like, stay with me. And then I got through it, and she ended up laughing.
Yeah.
But her first instinct as I was setting the joke up was like, I know he didn't just say that. I'm like, hold on a minute.
Wait. Well, that's the
Let me
good
finish.
and the bad of this small room, and we got 40 people in
It's
here.
intimate.
It is. You can reach out and touch the comic. Please don't touch the comic, but you can. Like, you're that close, right?
Yeah.
You can see the beads of sweat on the comic's forehead.
People give me high fives when I walk back
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
hosting. Yeah.
And that's cool for the people in the audience. If you're in the 8th row, you're 17 feet away, which is still closer than the front row at the Fox, right?
Yeah.
So you got that, and you're in this room together, but at the same time, you're eyeball to eyeball. And if that joke don't land, you're just looking at these people. And you're like, okay.
Like, I guess y'all just ain't gonna laugh.
Like, I'll share my money with you if you'll just laugh.
Right.
Like, whatever it takes.
I just burned through it that second time and got out of
Well,
there.
even hosting, I got a little taste of that because I came out and set up the show and brought the first person out. And then I come out again and I'm about to set up the second guy. And I was like, well, I'll tell a joke. And it nothing. It just died. And
Yeah,
I
but
was
what's
like,
beautiful is you can be like, then to the stage comes.
that's what Kip Buford, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get the heck out of here.
I don't want you to think I hosted and every time I went up, everybody cackled. Because I didn't even tell a joke every time I went up.
Yeah.
There was a couple times I go up and I give it up to da-da-da, next to the stage, da-da-da. And
Yeah, you got an out. There's a fire escape when you're just hosting.
But there was a time or two I went up there and joke and only hear like a
A little
or
giggle.
a little giggle here and there. I'm like, okay, well, next to the stage is Kip. Come up here and you make them laugh. It's kind of like it's a win-win, really, though, because when you're hosting, you're like, rather you're going to go up there and stink it up. So how could the next guy be worse?
Right.
Or you're going to go up there and get them fired up, and the energy's going to be high, and the
Yeah.
dude can go off of that.
Right.
Energy in the room. Like, I don't think people realize this, and maybe this is wrong, but this is just my view of it from just trying comedy a couple of times. Like, I don't feel like I've earned the right to call myself a comedian yet. Like, I don't know where that line is. Like,
You got 4 shows under your belt. That's more than most people.
I don't know, but I feel like the audience plays a part in how well the show goes.
Yeah.
Are you coming there to laugh and have a good time, or what? Like, why are you there?
I've heard really good, like, high-level, world-famous comedians say the same thing. Like, you depend on the audience.
You do.
Like, I listened to, matter of fact, it was Nate Bargatze. It was an old episode of Joe Rogan because it was around the pandemic, and they were talking about doing the drive-in theater shows.
And you can't get off the audience.
You
feel 'em.
can't. And Nate said people were honking their horns when they would have been laughing.
Yeah.
And it was weirder than them not laughing at all
Yeah.
because you're like, well, is anybody else going to blow the horn
Yeah.
before I start talking again? And
He's got one special he did Pagazzi during the pandemic, and he's outside,
and
he has to stop because airplanes are going,
helicopters flying over. Like, I'll just wait a second, but yeah, you do depend on the audience.
You do,
yeah.
So remember that, people. You go to a comedy show,
expect to laugh.
I don't understand that. Like, I'm hard. It's hard to make me laugh. Okay, is that a flex?
Probably shouldn't have bought tickets to a comedy show.
Probably shouldn't have bought tickets to a comedy show. But that's like, the tough guy thing.
Yeah,
like,
I ain't gonna laugh.
I ain't gonna laugh. Like, really, dude?
Those are the same guys that are gonna try jiu-jitsu next week.
And get
or they're, I don't want to try jiu-jitsu because I just see red and bodies start dropping.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Have you seen this new trend on all you guys are being called out left and right by bodybuilders?
That's fine. That's great.
Bodybuilders are saying they're got these big old weights. Dude weighs like 300 pounds. He's benching like 650. He's like, you're telling me that jiu-jitsu guy is going to do something with this? I'm like, dude, he will break your arm off.
Please
and
bring
beat
all
you
those
to death
muscles.
with it.
I'm a fat, middle-aged white dude. Please bring your muscles.
Don't get me wrong, bodybuilder dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get no smoke with you because I'm not a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fella. But I will put my money on that Brazilian jiu-jitsu
fella. I can't go
fella.
around with my teenage daughter right now because I hadn't trained. I'm out of gas. But I found that out Saturday. We did 3 hours of jiu-jitsu, and then I died. But we're getting there.
I'm 44 years old. How old's she?
16.
She kicked my tail.
Murderer.
Yeah.
Murderer.
That's got to feel so great as a father.
Oh, it's fantastic.
To know you got a 16-year-old daughter where if most grown men try something that they don't need to try, she's going to break them.
Well, her understanding is that even as a trained martial artist, man, she is a killer. And her best attack is from her back. So if you knock her to the ground because you're bigger than her, she still might snap your arm off. But her understanding in a self-defense aspect is that I don't have to beat up this grown man. I just got to make it not worth it. And he's like, geez, I'll find another victim. Like, please stop trying to twist my arm off. Like, just get away from me.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's just going to go wildcat and strangle you with your own jacket,
It's you pray nothing like that ever happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're like, I just want to see what
I
you
know.
can do.
Let's just find out. Yeah.
It's almost like I want to go pay a stranger, like, go over and grab a hold of her.
Yeah, just jump on her and see what happens.
See what happens.
You got to stage it.
Let's not, though. Let's not.
How much does that cost?
We might learn
something like that.
We might learn something about her we don't want to learn.
I know. I don't want to like unleash the
monster
beast or whatever.
I don't know. We might want to. That might
remind me off air. I'll tell you a story. But yeah. Anywho, these bodybuilders, God bless them. They should try comedy first. Sounds like that's what they're doing.
I just want to tell jokes.
Yeah.
I want to smoke.
It's fun. I almost, I don't want to say envy. I'm not supposed to envy anybody. I've always wanted to try stand up myself because I'm a preacher. Like, I've been a preacher. I've preached hundreds of sermons, and I kind of want to do it from the other end. So I'm not fishing for a reaction when I'm up there. Like, please don't react, just because of something I said. Like, if I say something that makes you feel something, like, call me tomorrow and we'll talk about it. I don't need you to laugh right now or react in some kind of way.
If it's real on Sunday, it'll be real on Monday.
That's what Spurgeon said, right? You probably heard me say that before. Yeah. But, I kind of want to try it from that end. It's just a different type of speaking, and you are dependent on that reaction. And
it is, and I can see where it gets these guys, you talk to them about it, they get addicted to it.
Yeah. I just had an idea. A pastor friend of mine reached out the other day and says, hey, I'd like to try stand-up. So we should just create an entire stand-up lineup of pastors. I'm with you. I know where your brain is going right now, but I bet Vince Carr would be good at it. And I feel like Trip Durden would be good at it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Trip would be fantastic.
Vince would be great.
Vince is a performer. Vince is a rapper anyway, so he's multifaceted, like in his stage presence.
Let's put on a pastor's only comedy show.
That would work.
Yeah.
Smoke.
Who else can we? Who else? Adam Colston would be good. I don't know. Adam is so busy. I don't know where he would have time to write a stand-up routine, but he would be good at it.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
I hope all these people know they're being volunteered to do
I know. This is another one of those things. At least we're not getting you beat up. You can just come out and tell some jokes.
Yeah.
People will know what kind of show they're coming to because it will be advertised as a preacher comedy show.
Yeah, yeah. So here's the brand. I don't know if you've listened to last week's episode or not, but this series, this clean comedy series that we're talking about, we're going to call it Whole Wit. So when you think whole wit, like the first thing pops in your head is it's a play on words with bread, right? And I asked AI for this title, and it was like, call it whole wit. And I said, cool, give me a picture to go along with that. And it's this weird piece of bread that Tango didn't like a whole lot. And we're going to work on that, have a different logo for it. It's going to be called Whole Wit because when you're doing clean comedy, all you've got is your wits, right? That's it. It's all you got. You don't have the luxury of a dirty joke or a cuss word to get the low-hanging fruit. You've just got to be who you are and be funny or not.
You're going off personality and content.
Yeah. So that's going to be the brand, and it's going to be an ongoing thing, and we'll have Whole Wit Comedy the last Saturday of the month or whatever it is. And
that'll work.
Yeah. And then we're going to try to rent this room out the rest of the time.
I feel
pay the bills here.
Feel better being a part of that, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I mean, because when you first said it about doing the clean show, you know, like I said, at first I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, nah, he's right.
Yeah. Well, it's a hill I'm willing to die on, you know, and if we put out that we're going to do this clean comedy show.
Though, man. I mean, if we have to sacrifice our morals to keep this room.
Right.
What are we putting above our relationship with God?
Right. Well, that was my approach when people were like, I don't want to do a clean comedy show. I'm like, okay. I heard a couple folks say that ain't going to sell. Well, if it don't, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, then it just don't. And
we
that's
give it a
we
try
are.
and find out.
Yeah. And, but I can sleep with that at night. You know, I did what was the right thing to do here. It didn't work out. Like, okay. Be easier to sleep with than not, you know, than doing it the wrong way.
I mean, ain't nobody looking to get rich off of this or nothing. I mean, it's not like we're out here Joel Osteen in this thing or anything.
Yeah, I want to pay the bills so we can keep this cool place to podcast.
Yeah, that's all we're really
the
doing
long
here.
and the short of it.
That's all we're really doing.
But I'm sort of inspired by, and don't anybody come at me for what I'm about to say, all you super reform crowd, that I'm not pushing the chosen or anything. But Dry Bar Comedy out in Utah.
Yeah.
Is 100% clean, and it's huge. And if you're scrolling on Facebook, any period of time, you see a clip from Dry Bar Comedy come by. But that's what they do out there, and people buy tickets, and it's all over the socials. They've got their own app where you can go on and like subscribe and watch all this stuff.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's huge. Now it's the same people, like the Angel Studios people. And if you want to dig into theology, like whatever, that we're talking about comedy, we're not talking about theology. But they do it right as far as that goes. And I think that would work here in Rome, Georgia.
When it comes to that company altogether, they produce entertainment.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Right.
The Chosen, it's not a documentary. No. It's entertainment.
There were no cameras.
It's not a documentary.
Yeah.
It's entertainment based on the Bible.
Right. Loosely, yeah. But
that has had some liberties taken with it.
Yeah.
Just know that and be okay with it.
Yeah, you cannot watch.
You cannot watch it for one thing.
Yeah.
And it's all like, you're going to watch a show about Jesus that, you know, may have some liberties here and there.
Yeah.
Or Pulp Fiction. You know what I mean? It's all like, are you really going to put it on the same level and be like,
okay,
it's just an evil thing? Like, really? Like, maybe, I don't know. Like I say, I don't roll with the lesser evil concept, but that's definitely a lesser evil to worry about.
Don't watch. I mean, it's that simple. But yeah, we're just, I mean, in terms of watching a stand-up routine and laughing and not having to hear some of the things that would offend you just as much as a false image of Jesus or whatever you want to get into.
I'll tell you another thing that bothered me. After that, let me see, the first night, I think I had my daughter. That first night we did the show, and she had to stay at home. I had to leave her at home to come do the show. And she was cool with it. She's old enough to stay at the house for a couple hours. It's all fine. Second show rolled around. It wasn't my weekend or whatever. But then she ended up saying, I ain't ever going to be able to come to one of your shows, am I?
Yee.
And I'm all like, no. And then the other week I told her, I'm like, my next show you're going to be able to go to it. And she was so excited. She's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to be talking about you. Oh, the content has changed, and guess who's the star?
Yeah. Well, you end up with more personal anecdotes and stories and things when you remove all the other stuff.
And I mean, something that I do struggle with about it though is like now I'm really having to like think about what part of my story I want to tell because she's going to be there. And my daughter is smart. She knows her dad hasn't been the perfect man. She knows I've got a past, but she don't know the details.
Right.
You know what I mean? She's just not to that age yet.
Yeah.
One day she'll be to that age and she'll hear all the stuff that all y'all have already heard.
Yeah.
Unless she finds it on the internet first, which is quite possible.
It's out there.
Which has been on my mind a lot lately.
Yeah.
I'm all like, whatever I put out there, I have to not be ashamed for her to see it.
Yeah.
Or hear it.
Yeah. When she's old enough that she could sit in this room and hear you tell edgy jokes that are still clean. You know what I mean? Like there's an edge that you can still approach. But she's old enough and smart enough. She's as smart as they come.
Yeah.
But
super intelligent.
Yeah.
Scary.
But it's cool that you are like, yeah, you can just go to the show this time. You can just be there.
Yeah. And she'll eat it up.
Yeah. She may be.
I might get her up there.
I started to say, she would have like the kind of deadpan that would just be hilarious.
Yeah. She's very, like, when you get to know her and she knows you, she'll lighten up and all that.
Yeah.
But when you don't know her, she's very Westonish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A little bit dark seems.
Yeah,
and
she
kind of gives you the side eye.
Side eye, like, I don't know if I really want to talk to you or not. Who are you?
Her sarcasm is on point, though. Like, she's sharp.
Her eye, she gives you the...
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, there it is.
And you're all like, you just cussed me in your head. I know you did. I heard you. I heard it.
Uh-huh.
I heard it in your eyes. I didn't say anything. Oh, yeah, you did.
Don't talk to me in that tone.
Don't look at me in that tone.
Yeah. But yeah, bringing her would be cool, man.
Well, I think that's what we're aiming for here, aren't we? I mean, get that. We don't want people bringing 5-6-year-olds in here. This ain't a daycare.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
But, you know, teen, preteen, whatever. We want to be a family-friendly atmosphere.
Yeah, and you can do it.
PG-13? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe even a little this side of that.
Yeah.
PG.
Yeah, but that'd be cool. It was, I know there was a guy that wanted to bring his 16-year-old to one of the shows, and I was like, maybe, but.
How cool of a parent are you?
Yeah, right?
I guess.
Yeah. But that was, I didn't want to have to tread that line until this guy was like, no, you definitely shouldn't bring your 16-year-old because I don't know what's going to be said or
I'm going to ask you this, and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to.
Okay.
Did anybody say anything to you?
Audience people?
Was you confronted about being a pastor man and putting on that kind of show by anybody?
No, nobody besides me.
Okay, I just didn't know if anybody had been like, I can't, how dare you?
No, nobody did. And I wasn't like super involved. I pretty much unlocked the door for you guys the last time.
Yeah.
And that was about it. But
I mean, you are renting a space. That's what this is.
Right.
But still, you have to be okay with what's going on in your space.
Right. I can't like put my name on something and go, hey, you guys come in and listen to these dirty jokes. You know?
Rent it out to what's his man? I gotta remember it. What's the dude from Breaking Bad?
Walter White.
Yeah, like you can't rent it out to him for the weekend. You got to feel good about who you're renting out to.
Walter
you can't rent
White
it out.
was the guy that made the meth or whatever.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston.
Heisenberg.
Yeah.
Heisenberg. I'm not. I haven't seen that. I gotta.
What I'm saying is, you can't rent it out to a drug company.
Yeah,
'cause you gotta feel good about what's going on.
Drug company.
That's what Walter White
Company.
was.
I mean, we call
That's a street side pharmaceutical distributor.
He was a pharmaceutical maker, a genius,
Yeah.
a fictional character.
I don't know. Y'all are out of my universe right now.
Anyway,
Go
what
down
we're
the
saying
you
is,
can find them.
No, nobody.
what you put out is a reflection of what's in you.
Right.
So if you are saying Jesus, but we're just going to do these rotten shows, just so we can keep our room to do a podcast. Well, man, we're not doing what we should be doing.
No, I got to live with myself, and I can't live with
There's
myself.
people out there
that
will say we're out of our mind.
Yeah.
For having a conscious.
I've heard things more in that direction than I have about the other. Like people were like, "Well, that ain't gonna never sell. Like nobody's gonna buy tickets to that." Well, maybe not you, but there are a lot of people that probably would go if they knew they weren't gonna have to sit through a bunch of bad language.
You get a lineup of let's say 5 to 6 local pastors that are willing to try stand up. I guarantee you, we sell both shows out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Tell me that a clean show won't sell.
We're gonna start one show this time. We're gonna start with one.
Either way,
and if it goes quick, we'll add more shows if they go quick. But
the artists have to agree to do 2 shows,
right?
Too. But if you are wanting to do stand up, you should jump at the chance to get up there twice in one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're getting double the work in.
I've done comedy 2 nights, and I've already been on stage more times than people that's been trying to do it for years. You know what I mean? I've been up there several times now since I hosted. You've been up there
9-10 times.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, if you get the opportunity and you want to try it, you should try it.
Yeah. No, I'll listen to anybody that says they want to. They just we got baselines now. You know, you gotta keep the ball in play. None of that foul ball stuff.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's a place down the street that'll probably be glad to have you. And I don't care if you're a blue comedian and everywhere you go like that. I'm not going to tell you can't work here.
Just do you have a clean version of your show?
Yeah, just run a clean set.
Professional comics hearing them on podcasts, a lot of them do like these private gigs, like these big executives,
like a corporate things
and stuff like that. And in those situations, a lot of them are told what they can and can't talk about.
Right.
But in those situations, they're getting paid a buku amount of money. So I know there's a difference, but
how many comics over the course of, I don't know how long Saturday Night Live has been a thing, or the Tonight Show, or any of those things, and these comics go on there and they don't talk that way because they're on live national television and they can't. So
that's where Eddie Murphy got his start.
Yeah, there's a switch. You can turn it off and you can still be funny, and people
Murphy,
still
perfect
watch.
example.
Yeah,
he did Saturday Night Live, then he did Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
and now he's Family Man.
Yeah,
doing family-friendly stuff.
Yeah, some of that's being older and settling down a little bit too, but at the same time, like the switch is there, and you can turn it off and on, and go, well, I can. This is the setting where I can talk like that, and now I'm on the Jimmy Fallon tonight, and I can't talk that way.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
I don't know. Eddie Murphy's still my top 3. I think it's
as far as just funny people go, man.
Yeah, to me it's Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, and Richard Pryor. That's the top 3 best comedians ever, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But there's a lot of people that disagree.
Yeah,
with me.
there would, and a lot of people would disagree because they were foul.
Yeah. They're the 3 of the most foulest, but they're the most
but as far
funniest
as
people that's ever.
Their skill and comedic, I loved. I'll tell on myself here, and if somebody want to come at me, that's fine. Dave Chappelle. I don't know if it was his most recent special. He gave away the punchline at the beginning of the show, and then he told the joke at the end and made you remember what he had told you at the beginning of the show. I thought, man,
he's a genius.
He set that joke up for an hour and came back to it and just crushed it and walked off the stage. I'm like, man.
There's not. Who's your top 3? Tango. I'm asking Tango.
Ooh.
Top 3 comedians. And then we're going to ask you, so you be thinking about it.
I know, I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah. Wait, he's going to hit me.
We're talking about comedy. Let's talk about comedy.
Yeah.
I always throw Rogan up there because he's just absolutely freaking hilarious.
He's
the biggest dude on the planet.
He's definitely in my top 10. I would probably put him in the 5s.
He's in that 3 spot. I like Brian Reagan.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Then a weird love him is Jeff Dunham. Jeff Dunham is so freaking talented to be able to pull that many voices and pull that much comedy.
Yeah.
And constantly cook with dummies and talk to himself. Man's insane.
I always wonder, like, how do you not accidentally use the wrong voice? You know?
I'm not going to. I grew up watching him. So definitely super, super, super talented.
Yeah.
His stuff don't make me laugh that much
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but there is no taking away
Oh,
from
yeah.
the talent.
It's not my thing, but I
It's
think
just not
he's
my thing now.
super talented
but
guy.
There's no touching that talent at
Yeah.
all. That dude can do crazy stuff, and how he maintains the conversation. I don't know how that dude has to have more than one personality.
Oh,
He's I
He's
guess.
got to be multiple personality disorder.
That's what I
something.
mean. How is he? He's Jeff Dunham, and then he is what's his old guy?
Peanut.
There's
Peanut's the purple guy.
Yeah, and he's going back and forth. And
When I was a kid, Peanut was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah, you remember that, right?
yeah.
I saw him when he was first starting and like breaking in at a New York State Fair.
Oh wow.
Like
You was in New York?
I was in New York for a little while.
Word.
Huh.
And like
The
he was
Tango's
at a
been all
county
over.
fair performing, and so that's why I was like, this dude's insane. And
Yeah.
he was slinging DVDs of like a special, event.
Buy my VHS tape.
And it was like this rickety plastic case DVD, and I was like, let's watch this. This is ventriloquist. Freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that, he's always stuck with me there. So I always put him up at the top for me because the talent was insane.
So you got Dunham, Rogan, and who?
Brian Reagan.
Brian Reagan.
Brian
yeah.
Reagan. I've always loved that dude. When his bit about dogs barking in the middle of the night, he's like, they're pretty much just out in the yard going, "Hey, hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey." And then another dog's over here going,
Yeah, that was
he's super funny.
fantastic spot.
Who you got,
Man,
Mr. Danny?
I'm going to take the low hanging fruit too and say Rogan. I don't do like when it comes to movies or songs or anything. I don't do like an order, but I'll say like these are my top three because
Okay.
I feel like they might change at some point. But Rogan's got to be up there. Rogan's growing more on me as he's adding religion to his stuff.
Rogan's heart's changing.
It is, but the fact that he still kind of will joke about religion, and even way back he did a bit about his young Earth Christian neighbors, and I thought that was hilarious. Then even when he was like, "I'm this atheist and I don't believe anything."
Can we put in a segment of his new comedy show like right here? You can edit this out if you can't, but if you can, I'll tell you what it is because that's really
Yeah,
good.
it's
That one, is
fantastic.
it the one I sent you?
No. This one's probably 10 years old. What I'm talking about,
The
but the
one-
one you sent me is and it's newest, and it's fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a good joke. Such a good joke.
Who else? There was a guy.
He said Joe Rogan actually says, "I'm gonna stick with Jesus."
Yeah, I'm with Jesus on this thing. Yeah, don't spoil the bit. But no, there was a. So I love Joe and I like him more by the day. It was a little nasty. I had to get through the first few minutes of it before I could like settle in and listen to because he was kind of over the top dirty. But that is what it is.
He's more polished now. You'll find that the more polished comedians don't have to put all
They don't
that
need
out there.
that. Yeah. There's a guy named Bob Marley who was a detective. If you ever seen the Boondock Saints,
Oh yeah.
he is he's Greeley.
He was a reggae guy.
No.
Different Bob.
But if you ever seen the Boondock Saints, he was Detective Greeley and he speaks with this heavy, like thick Boston accent. And I didn't know he was a stand-up comedian. All those guys are comedians. Billy Connolly, the guy, their dad, is a comic. All three of the agents that were working with William Dafoe, they're all stand-up comics.
Yeah.
But Bob Marley, I didn't know he's a comic. I was riding to Columbus, Ohio with your Uncle Andy one night. We left Rome, Georgia at like 10 o'clock at night, and we're riding all night long to Columbus. And he's got XM back in his car. This was in like 2004.
And the comedy channels.
Yeah. So Bob Marley comes on, and I'm like, hey, that's that guy. And I start looking up his stuff, and he's hilarious. But I'll also toss in Mike Warnke. You ever heard of Mike Warnke? No. He's performed here in Rome twice. It's been about 40 years. But he is...
40?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like, I was little when I saw him. But we used to have all his tapes.
Okay.
His tapes, right? And we used to listen to him all the time. And he was like my introduction to comedy. Mike is he an Episcopalian pastor? He's a pastor. He's always been a pastor, but he's also done this stand-up deal. and like he was in Vietnam, and he used to tell crazy stories about Vietnam in his bits, and he's always been a pastor. And was like a heavy, serious drug addict at one point in his life. And then he found the Lord and got things straightened out and was doing all this stuff. And then he fell off again and has like come back around later on in life. Even he's got to be in his 70s now. But like he's the guy that introduced me to comedy and what being funny was. And he was 100% clean, at the time because he was a pastor. But even having fallen off and come back again. But yeah, he's the first guy I looked at and like he's up on stage being funny. And he wasn't dirty. He was just telling fantastic jokes. And a lot of it was about the stuffiness of religion and church and Christianity and things that we take ourselves so seriously. And, well, I'm this person. And he would nitpick at that. That's what made it funny.
Yeah.
Because
it was true.
It was true. Yeah, right. All the best comedy is based in truth.
And if you're offended, you just heard truth you don't like. More than likely.
Right, yeah. Something you disagree with.
I'll throw a bonus in there for me.
Do it.
Who's a relative kind of local superstar in Georgia, old school 90s, Louis Grizzard.
Yes.
Was
How could I have forgotten Louis
my
Grizzard?
Gosh, I have
I
his
know,
books. I grew up listening to him.
Louis, I didn't know you would know who Louis Grizzard was.
I have his CDs and tapes.
Karen Leak sent me an autographed copy of one of his books for my birthday last year.
I don't know who he is, y'all.
You're gonna have to listen to it because it's some.
He got famous as a writer. He was a
it says American writer.
Yeah, huge Georgia Bulldog fan. A lot of stuff in his stand-up was about Georgia.
University of Georgia.
Oh, really?
He joked that people would say that if you drove through Athens with your window down, they would just throw a diploma in your car because it was easy to go to school there. And he was like, well, that ain't true. You got to stop. Okay.
There's the good joke about the Alabama fan, the Auburn fan, and the Georgia fan all going on the boat trip together.
He had a bunch of those. So a Georgia fan and a Florida fan did blah, blah, blah. And that was a lot of what he did. But,
that just makes me, I don't know how I feel about that.
But it was a lot of stuff about
y'all grew
being
up
from Georgia
to wholesome comedy.
Yeah.
My earliest memories of comedy is
Eddie Murphy Raw.
Richard Pryor. I remember my mom had the Richard Pryor album. It was called Wanted.
Yeah.
And it was a white one. He's on the cover of it.
Yeah.
We listened to it all the time. I'm talking about, I'm a toddler. I'm like 3. Walking around 4 years old, and I know Richard Pryor bits. And I'm like, and Sam Kinison, and I'm not going to take nothing away from the man. Not my style of comedy now because it's
pretty intense.
He goes in on the faith because he was an ex-preacher,
right?
But yeah, I still like some of that old school stuff every now and then, but a lot of it just hasn't aged that well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand how they have it. They'll go try to cancel anybody from stuff they said 40 years ago. I'm all like, these people, I grew up on Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, everybody got made fun of, and we all laughed together.
Yeah. Well, that's how it should be. Like we said, that the best, all the funniest stuff is based in truth, and you got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll have a bunch of stuff in your next routine about running blue comedy shows and then trying to turn it around.
I don't know. I'm just going to try to tell a few stories and make a funny side to them, I guess.
That's it.
I'm not going to overthink it a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. I saw these other comedians, we had the whole green room experience. So it was like really awesome because the whole part of thinking of doing comedy is all that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're into comedy as hardcore as I've been. Yeah, that's the part of it you're all like, even more than getting up on stage, it's hanging out. You've always just want to hang out with the other comics. You know what I mean? Because we all got the same kind of mental disorder. You know what I mean? Because no regular person. And you'll hear other comedians talk about this.
You got to be a little unhinged.
You got to be a little unhinged to want to get up in front of strangers, make a fool of yourself or whatever to try to make them laugh, because you're pretty much getting up there and you're like, accept me.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing. You're like, I'm going to get up here and try to tell some things that will make y'all accept me.
Yeah.
And
please
you
laugh
just want to feed off of that energy. And it is kind of addictive. And you hear these comedians talk about how addictive it is. I want to be on stage every night. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I could see where that could be the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to do it though. Like,
No.
I'm not going to ever be one of them guys that want to go tour the country without my family for weeks or months at a time. That's not going to be me. I already know that about myself.
Yeah.
So I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of me too, because I don't really expect a whole lot. I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And exercise that muscle. And if
Well,
something ever comes out of it, then cool.
You're not like one of these younger guys. We're older fellas. You know, we've grown up. You have a job. Like, it's not like you're doing comedy because you need the money.
I mean, I do need the money.
It would be great. Yeah. Y'all buy
I do
tickets
need
to
the
this
money.
show. Yeah.
I'll do a special.
But I mean, you're not like trying to make it in comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you might have been at 20 or 25, you know.
No, I think about that. Because I ask myself, what are you looking to get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, like I said, I'm not ever going to be the type of dude that wants to go tour.
Right.
And I think even having these thoughts is way not logical to even really be thinking about.
Yeah. You've been on stage less times than you can count on two hands.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I mean? I'm like,
not,
well, but I still, being the overthinker that I am, I'm like, what do you want to get out of it? And I'm all like, I really don't think I want anything.
That's a fair question, though.
It.
It's still a fair question to ask yourself. Or like, otherwise, why would you do it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thought, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just trying to. I look at what little I know about from where I came from, because as the people know out there, losing parents and all this family. Like, I'm one of the last ones. I have no information.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about from where I came from.
Yeah.
I've got the little DNA test that tells me what part of the world my blood is from.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I've came from. And I'm like, well, the only way I can really combat that for my daughter is to put as much of what I got to offer out there. And when the day comes that I'm not here anymore, there's a little piece of me out here for her to grab a hold of and remember daddy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We remember Lyle Morris talked about that.
Yeah.
Lyle doesn't he didn't post a lot of these, but he makes videos for his kids.
Yeah.
And
that's right. And sends them to that email.
Yeah. And one of these days, they're going to look it up and, that's what daddy looked like when he was 30.
Yeah.
Or when he was 25 or when he was 42. And he's like, hey, right now this is what's going on in your life. But he talked about that and he's leaving this for his kids. And that's kind of the way, like, that I look at all the stuff that we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Like, my grandkids are going to see that. I say my grandkids, I'm old. I'm grandparent age and I'm still having my own kids. I'll be so like I might not live to see my grandkids. Like, that might be a thing. So to have that out there is really cool.
Well, let's say this thing keeps rocking, and when I say this thing, the world.
Yeah.
If it keeps existing for another couple hundred years,
right. Yeah.
I don't think it will. But either way, let's say it does. Let's say right now you could go on the internet and be like your great-great-grandfather, YouTube, boom.
Yeah.
This was my great-great-grandfather.
Right.
I obviously never got to meet him, but check him out. He's doing a comedy bit in Rome, Georgia. Where in the heck is Rome, Georgia?
Guy.
He was a funny dude. How about that's where I got that from? That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm all like, just when I'm dead and gone, there's a little something out there. And of course, that'll be when my stuff gets good. That's
right.
That's when it'll get famous.
That's how it always goes.
Some pal 300 years from now will get rich off of what I'm doing right now, and it's worth it. I did it for you.
There you go. They'll talk about you like they talk about Lenny Bruce now.
However many years in the future, pal, or your name's going to be different. It's going to be different.
That's true.
Yeah, it's going to be different. It ain't even going to be pal. So whoever you are, you're going to have to find me. I'm on the DNA thing.
Kilo Papa on TikTok.
Go get your money, boo.
That's it. So yeah, man, let's work on this legacy.
Yeah.
Leave that bad boy out there. That's exciting stuff, though. I like it. Since I had that conversation with Lyle, it's changed my perspective on what it is that we're doing here. And not just this, but with like all the other projects we're doing and. This thing with PJ, like PJ's going to have that now for his grandkids, and Tango will have it for his grandkids, or what he's over there like, whoa, none of the grandkid business. But I mean, people that are anybody that's been on here or done their own stuff or appeared in Destination Hometown, you know what I mean? Like it's all documented now, and it's more than I got pictures of my family. Like my family's, at least on my dad's side especially, has done a phenomenal job of preserving our genealogy. And
my family dropped the ball.
I imagine. I mean, most people do because you don't think about it. But like, I know that my great grandfather was a whaling captain, which might get me canceled now. But like, I know these things, and I got pictures of him, and I got a book that featured him in a chapter that somebody wrote and stuff like that. But now we've got video. So I can see my granddad's face and hear his voice. And when he makes this like gesture, this hand thing, and I realize I do the same thing when I talk, even though I've never met him before.
Right.
You know,
it's
and
a genetic thing.
Yeah.
Genetic memory.
Right. And to hear like the things that we're talking about, like I'm eating ketchup on my eggs. Well, like my great granddad used to do that too, you know, and he talked about it in this video. I'm like, oh wow. Passed it down.
And that's what it would just be so cool to have that.
Yeah.
So that's what we're building now.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's what we're building now.
Yeah.
I know I'm related to Cheddar Man. I know that from the
Man.
Cheddar Man is like the oldest caveman ever found in like Scotland or whatever. It's like the oldest preserved body found in a cave or whatever.
Okay.
I have his DNA.
Cool.
You got that Neanderthal.
I do. I have. There's a percentage. It tells you what percentage of Neanderthal you are.
Did they tell you they sold all that to the Chinese government?
Yeah,
right there.
So is everything else.
One day I'm gonna open my door and there's gonna be like 6 of me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, y'all all know what I got in here.
I'll be like, I know, yeah. Good. Y'all need to get over to the machine shop and take care of my job for the day.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I'm glad y'all are here.
Y'all gonna fix the transmission today.
Y'all got to go find a transmission for the truck.
Go help me fix his truck.
I ain't feeding y'all.
No, you got to earn that. Anywho, I think we've beat this one to death.
We're in an hour 30, so
hour 30 now.
Sounds good.
I feel good about it.
I feel good about it too.
Jump off right there.
Hey, come to the next show.
August 30th, 409 Broad Street, Rome, Georgia, man.
Awesome.
Be on the lookout. If you find this on social media,
laugh.
Look for information for the comedy show in that same space.
Come see us.
We'll get it out
gonna
there.
be funny.
Chris, you're weirding me out right now. God bless you guys. We love you.
Funny.
See you next time. Man, that's a solid episode.
What is it Danny always says? Beans.
Beans.
Yeah.
On this episode, Danny sits down with Kris Pyle, and we talk about comedy stuff. We talk about comedian stuff, and we talk about some other things and all that. But it's a really interesting episode. You should just sit down and get real comfortable, get nice and cozy, and listen. Friday. Friday for last.
Keep on talking.
Hey, how you doing?
The worst sound check ever.
Pensa foto. Pisano mo tayo con moto.
All right, that works.
I like this. The lighting's gonna be better in the video for sure.
It will.
The lighting is more better, he says.
The lighting is mucho más. Do you have your phone on you?
It's right there on the stool.
Okay.
Why?
Inevitably, something's going to come up that we're going to want to verify. And you were sitting at the table with me last week, and it didn't happen until you chucked your phone across the room that we were like, oh, what was that thing? We were trying to look it up. I got to get rid of mine because it's going to buzz.
I got that on camera, by the way. That was recorded.
What?
The
Oh, good. Good. That's going to be at the end of the episode.
I don't know. Me trying to be dumb and fit a can in a cup was tag at the
That was
end.
funny with the goofy. I was listening to it. I hadn't watched it. I was listening to an audio, and that music started playing. And I was like, "What is going on?" So like, I pulled up YouTube real quick and drug it all the way to the end. I was like, okay. He's trying to stuff a monster can in that socket,
Oh.
and he's just sitting here at the table, and he's like, dude. He's playing this goofy music over it.